Welcome to the Fellowship Style Stage. I'll be your host today. My name is Josh Goldsworthy. I'm joined with Schwarzkopf Professional Ambassador Ashley Gamble. Hello Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very good. Now Ashley, you are an educator, a salon owner and a brand ambassador. How do you fit that all in and what does your role entail?
I think for us as a salon that's been around for about 10 years now is we kind of engulf everything together. So first and foremost, we love doing good salon hair. So Anae's my assistant every day in the salon. Then we tend to do education on Mondays or Tuesdays for Schwarzkopf. And then extra hours then is photographic shoots for, you know, different types of projects we have, and then British shoots. It all kind of comes together as just one busy week. You know?
Amazing. So obviously today you've got this beautiful model in front of us and it sounds as if it's going to be something along those lines. Can you just talk us through what you're going to be doing?
Well, so for us, we won, luckily last year, Texture Hairdresser of the Year, Afro Hairdresser of the Year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you very much, mate. So we thought it would be lovely to incorporate that in today. And I think for a lot of people, they struggle with sometimes texture hair that's larger, what to do with it, how to cope with it, how to exaggerate and enhance it. So today we're going to show you how to create some shapes using the wand to give you some different type of texture, and then how to put that hair up really simply to change the complete look very fast.
Amazing. Well, I won't let you stop if you don't want to start.
Fantastic,
we'll work through that.
So as you can see, we've got some pre-lightener through the hair. It's got a beautiful sun-kissed tone that Stephanie coloured earlier. And for me, that really brings the shape out nicely. So what we've done is, if we get those tongs in, is we've gone through individually throughout the texture of the hair just to enhance a beautiful coil texture to give some added length and some shape. And we've scattered that around the fringe area because the plan will be, once we've dressed the top out to be larger, to kind of take the back away. And if you guys can see what that does straight away, it kind of completely transforms the shape, but perhaps lacks the lift on the top. So with products and with the tong, we're going to show you how to create that, but without going crazy with the hairspray. So today, my choice of product for finishing and for styling is just going to be the Texture Craft. This is the only product I'm going to use to moisturise the hair, to texturise it, and to bring out that beautiful natural curl. We've also previously, when the hair's wet, used the Curl Jam, which is a great product to be able to give the moisture to the hair, give the separation. And because it's a gel type texture, what's very clever about it, it doesn't over dry in the hair. So this has been really important to bring out the beautiful natural texture. We've allowed the hair to dry naturally. So we haven't put any heat on the hair. We've allowed it all just to air dry. And that's what's given us the beautiful texture you can see with the help of my little wand. So when tonging through the hair, you haven't got to worry about where to go. It's very visual for me. So because we're thinking about lifting the whole of the hair up, we've incorporated that beautiful texture through the fringe area, some pieces through the top, and then all I'm going to do now is give a little bit more width to the shape by pulling a few pieces out where I feel like I'd like some more width, and then just go in with the tong at the root area and just wrapping around. It's very similar to how you would any other texture hair. The difference for me is I like to keep the root with more natural texture because that keeps the volume to the hair. So not being scared about tonging the hair, not sort of panicking, but allowing the natural wave of the hair to come through the underneath of the texture as well as it sitting on top of it. And that gives you that beautiful texture you can see there. So, I mean, depending on how long you've got, depends on how long you could go for. I mean, we could go for hours and really go through the hair a lot. But for me, it's choosing where you do that shape to enhance the shape. So like I said, we've incorporated that around the fringe and the top of the head.
I think a few buzzwords that you've said in there that stand out to me, especially when it comes to the products and with textured hair, is that moisture content. So everything you're using there is just replenishing and putting that moisture back in.
Yeah.
Is that a key thing for you when working with textured hair?
I think, as you know, I think you never want to dehydrate a curl because it makes it effectively less beautiful. So we're always thinking of what products we can use to moisturise, to enhance, but without making it floppy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that sort of previous product we used sort of on wet hair was key, and then loading it then with the texture spray afterwards is really important. So it keeps that beautiful texture but doesn't make it all sticky.
Perfect. And you mentioned not wanting to use hairspray or work with hairspray through this. Is that a key element again, the alcohol content?
Most definitely. When we shot all of our Afro collection, the only bit of hairspray we used was when we set some pieces of hair and set them, and then of course we used a gel and a hairspray. I never like to fix texture hair because I think the most beautiful thing about texture hair is it moves and the fluidity. So like for me, I think a lot of people jump to hairspray to kind of get a hold and get a shape. But if you do these processes correctly, you don't really need to rely on like a spray. So for me, yeah, super important to let the hair look beautifully naturally and enhance it rather than stick it. Yeah.
Definitely. And then I've noticed you're taking quite small sections of this, so it's just about being individual and looking for that placement.
Most definitely, yeah. And then using the shot that we're going to do, if it's a photographic shoot, from the front area, and not really worrying about the texture we're going to pin up, apart from on the top of the crown, which will hide where we're going to hide the rest of the texture at the back. So really choosing exactly where I want to. And in some cases, not pulling the hair out, just leaving it in its natural curl type that we've done. And some areas where I feel like it's a bit too heavy, just popping my finger through it. Or you can use an afro comb and just use the very end of the afro comb just to separate the root area, just to separate it outwards to make it a little bit fluffier.
That's great. It's really starting to build that shape, and I think it's bringing out that colour as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think placement's really key with the colour as well, just scattering a few pieces through the hair. You know, it doesn't have to be loads, but the detail that you give through those pieces really works quite three-dimensionally with the depth of the hair sitting with the lightness on top. It's something we do with Schwarzkopf is a colouring afro hair. And I think the one thing that I always try and teach on those courses is you haven't got to go crazy to enhance a colour or to create a colour. You can just be clever and let it work with a natural texture rather than going in too crazy and making it look too heavy.
That course sounds fantastic. I think we're definitely seeing a much further improvement in textured hair education, so it sounds like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. We were just talking about it in the back actually, saying sometimes colleges teach how to perm, which we all know comes round in waves. You know, it's supposed to be fashionable, it's not. But really, it's more beneficial to teach about different textured hairs, because I feel like every hair is a material, and I think textured hair is just one of those materials. And why shouldn't you have the tools from a young age to know how to deal with it? It just allows you to be more versatile with beautiful models, and when they come to a shoot, when you salon, know how to cope with it. You know, so that's really important for me to try and educate with texture hair. So I think when we had this opportunity to do the star stage again, we really wanted to jump on the fact of doing more texture.
Definitely. Yeah, I think people once upon a time saw it as a niche in the market, but I think now with things like Fashion Week and show events like this, we're seeing a far more kind of conscious effort to really push that education. So I think you're doing a great job here by doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it just shows anybody really. If you look at me, I'm not an afro hairdresser, but I love hair and I love texture. So entering the British Hairdressing Awards and doing a collection that I love to create, I didn't envisage winning. I just wanted to hopefully showcase a great collection and kind of make me more of a rounded hairdresser. So to come away with a win is exceptional. So it just shows anyone can do it. And if you just practice and just have a bit of knowledge and a bit of guidance, the fellowship's a perfect place to do that, especially with the online app. It's just a great way to do education at home and not pay hundreds of pounds sometimes if you haven't got that budget, you know?
Definitely. Now, you've got a great association with the fellowship. You've been a long-standing member. You'd like to talk about any of the roles?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fellowship because I feel like when I was younger, it was there for me. I was in the FAME team many years ago with Terry Calvert, and since then, every year that I could support it, I used to be a reporter, which was quite fun. And then it sort of developed into having mentoring days and then helping people out with private tuition. And then I do have a few members now message me asking me, can I come in the salon for like extra hour training? Which I say, as long as you can get here, you can do that, of course. And then now with the online portal, I feel like it's all moved on and you can see the fellowship develop. And rather than sometimes feeling like you're not picked for these brilliant courses because there's only limited spaces, you can still get that great knowledge, which is cool.
And it's all in your own time with events like this and filming like this. It really can be watched when you want on your lunch break and shared with your team.
Yeah, I love that because it's just bringing it to the 21st century with your Insta and your TikTok. It's right up there with making knowledge and learning more modern. Whereas we all know sometimes college can be fab, but it can be a little bit dated.
Definitely. Now, we've mentioned already that you were last year's winner of the textured hair. As a business and as a salon, you're very formidable when it comes to the award scene. Can you talk us through some of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, similar to yourself, from a young age, I've always loved doing awards and love entering just to push myself and the salon and the brand. And I think, you know, so many fabulous awards are out there, such as Salon Business, Tribute Award, and they're all there to make you grow as an individual. But not only that, I think when you own a salon or when you're a stylist in the salon, I think it can give clients that little bit of a special feeling when somebody that's won either British Hairdresser of the Year or Colour Salon of the Year, that little bit more confidence when they're like a new client. Because you know how it is sometimes you get a client come in and they're really nervous. They've maybe been to a couple of salons before which haven't quite hit the grade for them. And I think they come to you then because of the accolades. but then as soon as you've got them in the door, then just your attention to detail and how you love to do hair comes to the forefront, and it just helps them choose better, I think.
That's great. Can you just talk me through what you're doing now? I see you're putting a little bit of backcombing at the root.
So effectively, when we was tonging the hair through, if you guys watched a little bit earlier, we said when we're tonging the hair, we really want to leave the volume at the root, because what's beautiful about textured hair is the natural volume. So whenever you put a heat appliance onto the root, a lot of the time it can flop that natural texture. You're never going to beat that bigness, that beautiful volume. So we're keeping what we love, which is the volume, not tonging the root. So when we're backcombing, we're just building on that. So where the areas that we haven't tonged is we'll bite a little bit better because we haven't tonged it, and it allows us to get some more natural lift. And I hope on camera you can see, usually when we're shooting, as you know, we've got like a little screen, haven't we? We can check.
Of course.
We'll see the shape building upwards to create more volume. So when we take the sides up, we'll get a beautiful mini afro shape that's going to have a lovely texture, but also a different angle. So rather than just having a beautiful fro, we can then change it into that new shape.
From where I'm stood, it's from where I'm stood, it's really starting to look fantastic.
Thank you, mate. And the great thing about this is it's all in the preparation. I'm not going to be doing loads on stage, because if you do the key things correct with the texture hair, it just looks fabulous straight away. So creating shape is my #1 goal here, and just showing you how to enhance that is hopefully the kind of vibe you'll get from the video on the Knowledge channel. I don't know if you can see, if I spin you around, you can almost see effectively where that shape is built up from teasing and lightly backcombing. And all I'm trying to do really is create the volume in front of the crown, so when I pin the hair up, the volume, spin to the side, can connect with the shape. And this is what I'm talking about, shape. So you've created the volume through the top, and by pinning the back up, we're connecting the two shapes up. And also with the natural texture of the hair, you'll see some areas that we've previously tonged, which will then connect the two up together and allow us to have that beautiful shape.
Yeah, that's amazing. You can see our natural curl pattern really fitting in with that tong sections that you've been doing.
Yeah, and hopefully people will see how easy this is rather than being a complicated process, and then they'll start to play around with it themselves and get into doing a little bit more texture, which I think if we can get that vibe from people and show them how easy it is, I think that's just a super great place to start with learning more about textured hair and making it more fun, because the end results can be incredible with minimal effort.
Yeah, of course. I think this could be a great stepping stone for somebody who's looking to get into textured hair that's maybe too scared to go on a course. Just kind of start off somewhere and, like you say, just be brave.
Yeah, definitely. I think just don't be scared. Just think of it as enhancing where you want to make yourself stronger in your career and allowing you to have that confidence to play around at home with it. I mean, you can have some fantastic afro dolls now that I know Schwarzkopf provide on our courses as well, which are brilliant. So it just gives you that time to be able to play and just enhance your skill without worrying about people watching, perhaps. And then when you do get a little bit better, if a salon's there to support you, or you support yourself, you can log on and sort of look at the Schwarzkopf sort of academy, and we've got some fantastic educators that love afro hair, myself included. Vic Roberts is incredible at afro hair, and quite a few of the girls love playing around with texture. So with myself and Steph doing a colouring course, it works hand in hand with dressing hair. So you learn a bit of both, like how to colour it for a client, as well as then how to kind of make it look cool in reality. So we've done all this sort of prepping now for me until we put the pins through the back. So what I'll do is I'll just turn our model around, and then we'll use the pins just to elevate the whole of the section and then see how the shape's going. And I'll keep on rotating so the guys at home can see how it goes.
That's great.
So if we have the long pins in here, that'd be great. This is where I'm going to start to incorporate just a little bit of texture spray. If you come over this way now, just so the guys can still see on the camera. So this is where we're going to use the Osis texture spray, just to give it that extra bit of bite at the back, because I've really moisturised now from the cream that we put on previously. And if you can see what that texture spray does, it can just hold the shape nicely. But then also, when we pin the hair, it'll just bite to something.
It smells amazing as well.
Yeah, so good, isn't it? So I use these larger pins, which I think are really cool for looking after hair when you've got more volume than you can cope with. And what I'd like to do is just exaggerate the shape. So when I'm pinning, I'm very much pinning higher than I allow the hair to go. And I tend to fold the pins over so we have an effect that's quite firm. And that's when you can start to manipulate and pull the shape down and play around with the angle. So if I show you straight away from the side, we're trying to create that angle that's more elevated, and then we'll flop the beautiful texture then on top of where the pins are to create that lovely halo idea. It's really important as well when you're putting textured hair up that you don't brush or comb it when you're trying to put the hairpins in, because if you do that, all that happen is you'll ruin the beautiful texture you've created on the mid-lengths and ends, and also you'll make it super volumized at the root, which kind of takes away the idea when you want it smoother.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
So you are quite firmly pinning to the head. We're very lucky because obviously our model is used to it, but you've really got to be quite taut with the hair and stretch it before you pin it, because then you're getting rid of the natural volume you don't want. But if you put that foundation in now, that's 80% of your hair up. So we've got the beautiful smooth texture. You can sometimes pull a little detailed pieces around the neck, which can look quite cool. And then if you want to elevate further, you then take the hair above it and spot pin just to create a little bit more volume. So what we're going to try and do now is elevate this side bit a smidgen more. So I'll turn around. Always looking at the shape from all angles just to make sure we've got the right idea and the right energy. So open pin, slide in, and you can just see how that hold creates that lovely shape. And like I say, I'm looking for that halo effect, so when we come to dress it out and spray out the texture spray, we are going to be pinning some of this hair to elevate it and to create a better shape on the top. Those pins feel okay? Yeah. Great. So from the front now, it's looking really cool. What I like about this as well, it's very fringe orientated. And when we're doing hair in the salon, as everyone knows, you want to exaggerate and enhance all the best features of your client. And we're very lucky we've got such a beautiful model, so we're trying to focus around the eye area and really focus on the freckly area. So that fringe shape, if we was doing a shoot or if a client was going out, would be a real winner, I think, whether it be in cash or, like I say, a shoot idea.
I think this shows great versatility in this hair type and texture. That we had a fantastic kind of overall shape at the start when you were tonging, but now moving this into pin-in sections just shows the versatility of what you could produce.
Most definitely, and I think that's where some people really struggle and worry about hair ups. I think we find it in the salon, as you probably know, like training like our assistants to be more confident and to not worry about sort of playing around with hair. And as soon as I start sort of playing around with it and pinning hair, it takes the fear away from that scary feeling of the hair is going to fall out. So that's one of the reasons why we didn't want to use any hairspray as well. With my hair ups, I tend to use minimum hairspray. Yeah. Because I think hair's more about now fluidity and just like looking like you haven't bothered, but looks really cool. Got some normal pins now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if you look at some of the awards now when it comes to imagery, a lot of them have movement and wind and things like that in there. And if you're working with hairspray, you're not going to get that in an image.
Yeah, I mean, I have done one shoot before where I've used no product apart from a prep product. And I really enjoyed that because it allowed us to get more wind into the hair and create a lot more drama. And I think, like I say now, clients are kind of cottoning on that they don't want to have the hair dehydrated, they kind of want condition. Definitely. And they want to feel expensive without having to put loads of product in. So we do now in the salon loads more treatments where we have the Schwarzkopf masks that go very well with people just wanting to have that beautiful texture but without having the problem, you know.
The shape's looking fantastic. I really, really love that.
And what I love about it, hopefully, and what we've captured on camera is we haven't really broke a sweat to do that. It's quite easy. So, you know, that's probably we're on 10 pins, are we, Nay?
Yeah.
So 10 pins has kind of got you a real good base shape. It's got the elevation. And now we can start working with pulling the hair texture naturally out and even teasing it a bit more with the back combing. But what's really important is where the pins are at the back, you might be able to see the overhang there. All we need to do to hide that overhang is effectively get one more small pin just to cover it over so we create a beautiful line. So you haven't got to worry about things that are on show. The idea of a hair up is you work the hair around it to make it look great. So don't get stressed, kind of just chill out with it and just embrace the shape and don't worry too much. The main thing that we always try and teach as well on education is always step away from the model, have a good look to see how the shape's forming, just to see if the idea that you had in your mind works. And I can tell already by elevating all that hair, that's kind of the idea and feel that I wanted. So tease-wise now with the back combing, I don't need to go crazy. I'm just going to push it a bit more into the fringe area where I didn't before, because I feel like I want a bit more volume through the top. And then you can see those little coil textures there that I've tonged just to give it a bit more length. Because that's another reason why I've added heat into the hair. The first thing I said to my model is once we've dried you, we want to elevate it and stretch it, which means pulling the heat through just to soften that curl, just to enhance it and give it the bit of elongation that's required. Otherwise, it can sometimes shrink up a bit too tight.
What I love about this as well is in a salon situation, you could almost show this as a complete haircut restyle to a client. It's a way of showing them by removing that hair at the back what it would look like for them.
Most definitely, yeah. I think when you do a lot of hair in salon, I think you'd understand that creating a shape is so strong sometimes that you want to give an idea. And pictures these days don't really cut it, do they? No. Like, you can show a picture, but are you showing a 360 of the model or the client or whatever it's going to look like? So being able to pin the hair up, it shows straight away what you'd look like instantly with removing the hair. And it is so dramatic. You kind of need to make sure, unless you want like an angry client on your hands, how it's going to kind of look before it happens if you have got that facility, you know. So it is a great way to show that idea.
Yeah, nobody wants an angry client.
No, it's not what you want. I mean, it can happen to us all, even if we try our best. So to try and minimise that is always great. I think that's something for sort of youngsters that are coming through need to understand. You know, you sometimes haven't got to be scared about clients that aren't happy or want to have a change. You've got to learn how to be able to cope with that. And one of the ways we're suggesting is kind of like if you show the shape initially, it kind of allows the client to understand what the style will look like to make sure then at the end they're very happy, which is good. So I can see now the shape coming nicely. I'll give you a little show of the back now. And you can really see where Steph's placed the colour. You can see that enhanced tone coming through. Lying it on top of the shape works really well. Just using my fingers as well to tease out the shape, just to give it that beautiful volume, is really key. And then I think straight away when I turn around, you might see now why it's important when you're using the product to spray the root, because it gives root lift and makes it look more 3D. So when we turn our model back around, the idea is now we have more of a volumized, amplified look that looks super cool.
Yeah, the separation of that product and obviously your hands are creating looks beautiful.
So that kind of is our look. And now it's just a simple case of asking the client, or if you're on a shoot location, seeing how that works on camera. A lot of the time we always work with Richard Miles, and what I'll tend to do is I'll put the model in front of the camera and then we'll kind of see how it looks. If you're doing a lot of these competitions now that the British Hairdressing Awards are doing and other companies whereby you don't need a professional photographer, my suggestion is just take a little snapshot of the angle that you really like and just to see if that's working well with the shoot or even with your Instagram in salon. And if it's working cool, then you haven't got to change it. And if obviously you feel like, well, actually, it looks a little bit flatter than what I would think it was going to. I always say when you do anything on camera, it always looks flatter, so you always need to enhance the shapes. Then you can just go in and make it larger by using the texture spray or by pinning an area just to make it more fuller. The one thing sometimes I see happen, which I don't agree with, is using the straighteners to straighten the ends out. That's very well and good if you don't want the natural texture to be as it is, but if you want to enhance that texture by using the straighteners on the ends, it merely makes it straight, and then you kind of lose that beautiful afro. With the enhanced texture, it kind of becomes something a bit different. It's really important, I think, if you have got a colour, your shape works with that. So I'm really happy with the angles. I don't know if you can see on camera, but the left side here looks a little bit heavier. So with the smaller pin and A, we'll show them just how to lift that section up. So this is how you create your shape if you are feeling like it's a little bit flatter. So for me, I don't know, it's just dropping a little bit. So lifting the root area up similar to before, pinning from the underneath and pinning upwards just allows me to lift the shape up a little bit more. So check the balance out then. And that seems to be flowing beautifully again now. So that's just allowed you to elevate it.
I mean, this product, apart from smelling amazing, you really can layer that up, can't you?
Oh, you can, yeah. I mean,
at all.
with this type of texture, it's designed to have movement and hold, but you could quite easily make this a fluffy afro texture and put your brush, which would be a soft brush, all the way through it and get it more of a fro. You could then, once you've softly combed it all out, as I did with the root, tease it all over and make it even bigger. But part of what I wanted to show you guys today was how to enhance the texture, not change it. So using these type of tongs with this size kind of gives you that beautiful coil that looks super cool, but just a bit more length. So it is nice how much versatility you can have with textured hair. So that's our model all finished.
Perfect. Actually, I'll let you take the gown off, and if you'd like to just recap a little bit for us and give us a 360.
So if you stand up for us, that's great. So kind of the energy we wanted today was kind of like you're going out, you're going to a cool club, you want to look wicked, and this is just you don't care, but you look super cool. So putting the hair up is really important, so we haven't got all the heat on the shoulders. Elevating the shape so it looks a bit quirky and different, I think works well. And what I like the most about it, like we originally said, it draws all the focus to the fringe area. So when you're doing your style, always try and have a goal of where you want to elevate, where you want to shape the hair. I think stick to that plan and then work around it, and you'll just see it evolve quite nicely.
It's absolutely gorgeous. If you could just give us a 360 to the camera so we can see all those elements.
You can also see from the back area, I pulled a little bit of hair out. You don't have to stick with that if you feel like it doesn't look good. I pulled a bit out here, looks nice. A bit too heavy here, so again with the pin, get the right side, you just elevate the hair, and as you would with the normal hair up, get that texture in there, and it just adds a little bit more detail, but it's not on the neck area.
That's absolutely amazing, Ashley. It's been an absolute pleasure working alongside you today.
Thank you very much.
I hope everybody at home has really enjoyed that. Please continue to watch the rest of the platform and the style stage. Thank you again to Ashley and his team. We'll see you again soon.